many riders will know, there was a consultation launched earlier this year under the old Tory government to consider allowing motorcycles default access to bus lanes throughout the country. The outcome for this consultation was published last week, and it was not the right answer. As you may imagine, I have not fully calmed down yet. I had to draft a couple of versions of the MAG press release on the outcome before I could get something that was publishable. I commented that the message that the government had chosen to send to the motorcycle community is one of contempt. I was left wondering if they were trying to make another group angrier than farmers just so that the news cycle would move on from that particular argument. The decision has even upset the folk at the Motorcycle Industry Association. For a few years now, the MCIA has been trying to claim that the Tory government was on board with the concept of promoting powered light vehicles. I always thought that they were being overly optimistic in their desperation to claim that they were receiving some degree of favour. It was clear at the MCI conference in January that they thought the prospects would be even brighter under a Labour government. I thought they were being hoodwinked then, and it looks like my reading of the political reality was right. MCIA CEO Tony Campbell, on seeing the bus lane outcome, said, "Today's decision is as shocking as it is disappointing." He carries on, "It contradicts years of work promoting PLVs as a sustainable transport solution." He then says, "The government has hindered the transition to lighter vehicles, sending a confusing and discouraging message to prospective users." I have mentioned in articles the glee that can be seen in certain circles about the end of the Tory plan for drivers. My fear has been that anything associated with the Tory initiative would be treated like dog dirt on the shoe of the Labour government. The bus lane consultation was announced as part of the plan for drivers, and here we are with the new Labour government roundly rejecting the proposal. As the MCIA press release put it, the consultation results reveal 98% of individual responses and 93% of stakeholder organisations supported the measure. Despite this, the DFT stated it has no policy to encourage greater uptake of motorcycles, signalling a stark departure from the previous government's vision to embrace light sustainable vehicles as part of achieving its net zero emissions by 2050. The government's justification for the decision leans heavily on the resistance to removing the authority from local transport authorities to make their own decisions. They say the Department for Transport is strongly convinced that local authorities are best placed to understand the needs of their local road network rather than central government. But this is a straw man argument. Default access does not remove any level of authority from the local decision-making process. It simply flips the need for justification from inclusion to exclusion. Every council would retain the right to justify excluding motorcycles, so there is no way that this argument makes any sense. With hindsight, I think that officials drafting the consultation may have deliberately included questions about the right of local authorities to make these decisions to set up that straw man argument. The DFT have lamented the lack of response from local authorities, yet in the same breath they have excluded local authority responses on a technicality. The ridiculous wording that almost seems designed to invite ridicule states that one combined authority and two transport authorities did not identify as local authorities. You have to ask, what did these bodies identify as? Have these responses really been excluded because they were in favour of the default access? We know that over the last 3 decades there have been huge numbers of trials costing countless thousands of public money. Each trial, if run competently, should have produced exactly the evidence that the DFT claimed they wanted to see. Why are these reports not available to the DFT? What we can say, even without the detailed reports, is that these trials almost entirely resulted in access being granted. This demonstrates that in the trials, benefits were seen to outweigh any minor concerns to the point of justifying the expense of implementing the policy. Yet the DFT appears very keen to rely on comments about perceived or anticipated issues. These are clearly opinions from those without evidence of the trials. The outcome report says the cost to local authorities in new traffic signs and traffic regulation orders of mandating such a change for existing bus lanes would be considerable. Without strong evidence of the benefits and a better understanding of the risks, this cannot be justified. MAG's response to the consultation covered the fact that there was a simple implementation route that avoids these claimed costs. Default access as a policy is not mandating change. They are continually setting up false arguments rather than accepting the overwhelming support shown through the consultation responses and proof from at least 56 trials that have resulted in a positive outcome. There are many more things that I could point out about this consultation outcome report, but I'm not going to waste everybody's time at this point. I have submitted Freedom of Information requests to the Department for Transport, and I will be putting together a formal challenge to this outcome. But in the meantime, please do consider writing to your MP. Ask them to question the government on why they think that a consultation showing support for the policy has decided against it. MAG will continue to fight this ridiculous outcome, but MAG's influence can be increased by increasing the number of MAG members. So please, if you haven't already joined MAG, take this opportunity, this outrageous decision by the government, to be your trigger for joining MAG to help us fight this ridiculous outcome. Not just on this particular policy, but on most policies around motorcycling. This government, as it has openly said, has no plans whatsoever to encourage greater uptake of motorcycles. This is simply wrong-headed. It contradicts what the previous government said about motorcycling and the important role that it plays in the transport mix. This government is clearly going to be anti-motorcyclist. We've got a lot of work coming up in the next 5 years, and we're going to need as much support as possible if we're to have any influence at getting a better outcome for riders in the UK. So please do join MAG and help us to win this battle.